Hey everybody, it's my 20-gallon Angelfish tank, and not too long ago I did a big water change on it, and I talked about how the Mulm in this tank and all the sort of crud and detritus builds up on the right hand side of the tank. That sort of plant and rocks and woodwork and everything in the middle sort of create a flow barrier, where the left side of the tank has a lot of water circulation and keeps the bottom relatively clear. I do get some buildup down there, but the right hand side of the tank, just Mulm and everything just settles down and drifts to the bottom, and right now it's all covered again. I'm ready to do a water change, so instead of doing a simple drain and refill with my big siphon like I normally do, I'm going to go ahead and use the gravel vac siphon, and I want to get it on video just to show you all how much Mulm and everything is collected on the right hand side of the tank. So we'll probably do at least a little bit of a before and after type video. Well, I can already tell you my siphon feels like it's got stuff clogged up in it, so I don't know how vigorously it's going to be vacuuming this stuff up. And I cannot see what the viewfinder is seeing, so hopefully you can see how much crud is just lifting up off the bottom. I'm not even touching the gravel or anything at this point. I'm simply allowing the current to just draw that Mulm and stuff up off the bottom. That's how lightweight and loose it is down there. Once I've got a bunch of it up and out, then I'll start kind of rooting around in the gravel a little bit. I had a little bit of a scare in this tank not long ago. I'd looked in here and I saw a little bit of white stuff on the tip of my angelfish's fin, and I just kind of assumed that since all this Mulm and everything had collected in there, that the fish had developed a little bit of a fungal infection or something like that. So I actually went out and got medicine for it. Well, I didn't go out and get medicine. I went upstairs and ordered medicine for it. It showed up in the mail the next day. And when I came down to apply the medication, put the meds in the tank, it turned out that whatever little white fuzzy thing was on the tail of the fish was no longer there. So it was probably just a little air bubble or a little piece of crud or something. And when I saw it, I just naturally kind of assumed that I was having some sort of problem. And again, I'd rather have bought the medication and not needed it than just ignored the situation and allowed the fish to actually have a fungal infection that was going to get worse. So now I've got some meds on hand. If anything else crops up, I'll be able to treat it as soon as it happens. So let's try to get a little bit in the back here. I do get some crud that builds up even though it's directly below where the filter flows in. And I get a little bit of cyanobacteria growing on the gravel in the back sometimes too. And the gravel vacuum will pull some of that out of there. Reduces how often I have to do a chemiclean treatment. Anytime you physically remove some of it from the tank. Well, it's kind of like a double-edged sword. You physically remove some of it, but the process of physically removing it will sometimes disturb it to the point where you actually cause it to go into like hyperactive reproductive mode, and it spreads all over the tank. And even though you might have removed a bunch of it, you actually spread it around even worse than before you started. So as I've said before, remember with these kind of gravel vacs, you want to turn them over underwater, and then that way you can lift them up and out, and all the stuff that's in the gravel vac stays in there and doesn't just go flooding right back into your tank. So let me get done with all of this. I'll get the tank refilled, new filter pad put in there, get the glass wiped down real quick, and then we'll have a quick little look at the tank once it gets put back together. So sit tight and I'll see you for the after part. And there's your after part. So in addition to everything I said I was going to do, I wiped down the glass, you saw me do the gravel vacuuming, I changed the filter pad and the little hang on the back filter there, and I also removed a bunch of the floating water sprite that was blocking a lot of the light. Now, normally this is the part where I'd say I've always got my excess water sprite for sale, but in this case I'm not going to say that because it had a lot of green, algae and cyanobacteria and stuff growing on it. And so rather than try to get that all sorted out and cleaned up and whatnot, I just threw it away. It was a couple of clumps that were growing in there and had a bunch of crud in it, so no big deal. But the water change came out good. The tank looks great. We got a lot of light shining in there again. And in fact, we can even see my whiptail catfish is out doing its thing on the glass there, or on the filter intake rather. You can actually see it through the glass. What I was thinking was I can see it through the glass on this end. When I sit in the other room, I'm looking at the tank lengthwise, and this glass on the end gets pretty cruddy over time too. And while I was in there, I went ahead and I got all this wiped down. And so now I can see into the tank from both the front and the side. And of course the other side has another fish tank against it, so I don't have to worry about cleaning the inside of that. And then I don't worry about wiping down the back of the glass either. I don't wipe the glass down for aesthetics reasons. I wipe it down so that I can see into the tank. Again, the crud that grows on the side of the glass or the back of the glass or whatever, that doesn't really bother me. I'm not too worried about that. I just like being able to see into the tank. So that's the only reason I wipe the glass down. And I'm now seeing where I missed a little spot right there. You can see a little bit of crud still on the glass. So whatever, I got in there, did a good enough job, got the tank cleaned up, everything's looking good. And as I said, not a whole lot to talk about on the after side. So there you go. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hope you enjoyed that. And don't forget, that is my 20-gallon Angelfish tank. So thanks again. I'll see you real soon in the next one.